Okay, so we cut to the title, X-Men. So then we cut to Washington, D.C. or something, and Jean Grey is there, talking all about mutants, and Senator Kelly's there, and he's like, I hate mutants. Mutants are stupid. I hope you're not a mutant, because then I hate you too. And then they kind of pan to the back of the room, and Professor X is hanging out with Magneto, and Magneto's like, I hope you're ready, Charles. I got all sorts of crazy things planned for the rest of this movie. And Professor X is like, bring it on. So then they go their separate ways, and we cut to Rogue. And this is where we find out that her power is she pretty much sucks the life out of anyone she touches with her bare skin. So she kisses a boy, freaks out, runs away, and apparently she hitched a ride with some truck driver all the way up to Alberta, Canada. So this truck driver drops her off at this bar. It's like a UFC bar or something. Like there's a normal part of the bar, and then over on the left there's just a full UFC octagon. And Wolverine comes out, and the guy who runs the place tells one of the fighters, hey, make sure to not hit him in the balls. He'll take it personally. And like, why do you even have to tell them don't punch them in the balls? Who the hell punches someone in the balls? So Wolverine beats everyone that he fights, and he goes to the bar, counting his money, smoking a cigar, has some sort of altercation with one of the guys at the bar, and he whips his claws out. And this is like our first big introduction to mutants. Like the guy at the bar is like, get out of my bar, freak. And Wolverine kind of flails his claws around just to make a show of it, and then he leaves. So he's driving in his car, and then he notices Rogue's in the back. So he's like, hey, what are you doing back there? Why don't you get up front with me? And she's like, oh, cool, thanks. My name is Rogue. I see your name is Wolverine from your dog tags. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of weird that there's just a nickname on these dog tags, huh? Too bad I don't remember anything from before 15 years ago. And then a bad guy shows up. His name's Sabretooth, but honestly, none of Magneto's henchmen matter. All you need to know is there's like a blue henchman, a henchman that jumps, and a henchman that growls. None of them really have any lines in this movie. So then Sabretooth throws a tree at the front of their car. Wolverine goes flying. This is where you get to see his healing powers, because he has this massive gash in his forehead. And this gash is huge, right? Like his whole forehead is just a mess. And he's kind of stumbling around. He's healing. He's probably concussed. Then Sabretooth throws him around a little bit more. And then out of nowhere, with no dialogue, Cyclops and Storm show up. They just like pop up out of nowhere. You don't hear a plane fly by. They don't even say anything. They just like scare away Sabretooth and scoop up Wolverine and Rogue and just fly off to New York. So then we cut to Professor X's school, and Jean Grey is like putting needles in Wolverine's arm. Wolverine wakes up, freaks out for obvious reasons, and kind of wanders around the school for a bit, and he like sneaks in a door, and it's Professor X's office. And he's like, oh, Logan, welcome to my school. Why don't I give you a tour? And Wolverine's like, yeah, sure, I'll have a tour. Oh, by the way, who are you? So Professor X tours Wolverine all around, and they're walking all around the school, and Professor X is like, yeah, we have a lot of kids here. They're all mutants from ages like 5 to 25. And Wolverine's like, oh, wow, are they all orphans? And Professor X is like, no, I'm sure they have parents. And Wolverine's like, okay, but do their parents know they're here? I think it's illegal for you to keep these kids here. And Professor X is kind of like, I don't know, who cares? We only have 4 teachers. I'm one of them. I teach physics. Storm teaches math. Jean Grey teaches English. And I guess Cyclops teaches motorcycle repair or something. And Wolverine's like, are you guys even an accredited school? And Professor X is like, I don't even know what accredited means. Whatever, man. Do you want to join the X-Men or not? And Wolverine's like, yeah, I don't know. Let me think about it for a few scenes. So then we cut to Senator Kelly. He gets kidnapped by Mystique and Toad, and they bring him back to Magneto in his evil lair. So like Senator Kelly's just sitting there in their base, and like no one's talking. Like Mystique is just staring at him. Sabretooth is just staring back at him too, and Toad is just kind of hanging out eating a bird or some shit. Magneto shows up and he's like, hey, Senator Kelly, welcome to my secret base. I'm gonna tell you my evil plan now. As you know, we're all mutants here except for you, and this giant machine behind me is gonna turn you into a mutant. And Senator Kelly's like, wow, why would you want that? What if I get really sick powers, like better than yours? What if like I have the power to blow up and I just blow up in your base? I mean, you don't know what power I could get, right? And Magneto's like, yeah, but you're gonna understand my plight if you have powers. And Senator Kelly's like, I'm not gonna stop being an asshole just because you gave me superpowers. Actually, it might become more of an asshole. So Magneto's like, doesn't matter, I'm gonna do it anyways. And he like pushes some buttons and spins some things around, and this giant magnetic field just blows out of the device that he made. So then we cut back to Professor X's school, and Professor X is like, Wolverine, you have to stay here because we're pretty sure Magneto wants to capture you. So then we cut to Rogue, who's hanging out outside on a park bench. Some boy comes out to her and is like, you should leave. And she gets all upset. She's like, fine, I'm gonna leave. I'm going to a train station. And it turns out it was Mystique, and she's trying to get Rogue to leave. So Wolverine and the X-Men are looking all over the mansion for Rogue. Professor X is like, oh wait, why don't I use Cerebro? And Wolverine's like, what's that? And he's like, oh, it's just this gigantic thing that could technically be used to control everyone in the world with just my brain. But I use it for good. Don't worry about that. It's not like that's going to happen in the sequel or something. So they go into Cerebro. Professor X puts on his little Cerebro helmet, and he like looks around the world, and he's like, oh, I found her. She's at the train station. Get going, X-Men. So the X-Men go to the train station. Wolverine finds Rogue, and Toad and Sabretooth show up and just start start causing havoc. Like Cyclops accidentally blows the roof off the place. Storm shoots some lightning around, and Wolverine's talking to Rogue, and he convinces her to come back with him. Then Magneto shows up, and he's like, I wasn't looking for you, I was looking for Rogue. And Wolverine's like, oh crap. And then he gets knocked out. Then Magneto takes Rogue, and he throws some police cars around. So while they were all out at the train station, Mystique was actually sneaking some poison into Cerebro, because they didn't want the professor to be able to find Rogue later once they kidnapped her. So Magneto kidnaps Rogue and gets away with his henchmen. So then we got to Senator Kelly in Magneto's evil base, and he's turned into some sort of fish water mutant, and he escapes. And he kind of makes his way over to Professor X's school, and he shows up. He's like, hey, can you guys help me out? And Professor X looks at him and he's like, I mean, I can't help you out, but I can read your mind so that we can further the plot. Is that okay? And Senator Kelly's like, sure, whatever, I'm probably gonna die in a few minutes anyways. So they do. Professor X reads his mind, Senator Kelly dies, but before he dies, Professor X found out that Magneto's gonna use his device to turn all the world leaders into mutants. So Professor X is like, oh, but Magneto doesn't realize it's gonna kill everyone. We should probably go tell him. Let me see if I can find him using Cerebro. So he goes into Cerebro and he pops his little Cerebro helmet on, and then all that poison hits him, and he's like, oh no, and he's out of the game for the rest of the movie. But luckily, Jean Grey was like, oh, there's some poison in there. Let me take that poison out. All right, I'm gonna use Cerebro. Oh, okay, they're going to the Statue of Liberty. Cool, so we can further the plot now. So they all suit up and they get in the jet, and Wolverine's like, these costumes are terrible. And Cyclops is like, yeah, well, what would you prefer, yellow spandex? And Wolverine's like, sure, why not? None of us go by our real names. I mean, I call you Cyclops. You guys all call me Wolverine. You don't think that's equally as dumb as wearing yellow spandex? So they land at the Statue of Liberty. There's this really long, awkward fight where almost no one talks. Storm gets to say that line that everyone loves to make fun of, where she's like, hey, do you know what happens to a toad when it gets struck by lightning? And Toad's like, I don't know what. And she's like, same thing as everything else. Zap. So Toad is dead. Wolverine was fighting Mystique for a while, and then he stabs her right in the chest. So she should be dead, but she's not. Don't worry about it. She'll be back for the sequel. So they finally make their way to the top of the Statue of Liberty, because that's where Magneto installed his gigantic evil device. And Sabretooth is there. There's some dumb back and forth. Magneto pops up into his little machine. He gives his powers to Rogue. He's like, you're gonna die, but you're gonna make everyone mutants. It's gonna be awesome. You're gonna love it. She's like, I don't think I'm gonna love it. He's like, you're gonna love it, but you're gonna die. So Sabretooth gets blasted out the side of the Statue of Liberty, and Wolverine jumps up and he saves Rogue. They beat up Magneto and they save the day. Oh yeah, but Wolverine was horribly maimed earlier, and he gave all his powers to Rogue, and he's almost dead. But don't worry, he can't die. He's got to be in 18 more movies. So then they cut to a few days later. Wolverine wakes up. Professor X is there. He's like, hey, I'm better too. Wolverine's like, I guess I'm gonna head out for a little while. And Rogue stops him and she's like, what? You're leaving? And Wolverine's like, don't worry about it. I'll be back for the sequel. Roll credits.